Hello and welcome to another episode of Sport Federation TV, the show that brings you all the news from all the sports in all of the Western Cape. I'm Reinet Chetty. Now tonight you're going to get another opportunity to win a case of assorted Bash's drinks, so please keep your cell phones ready for that announcement. Once again, you can look forward to some exciting and varied sports in our lineup. And joining me first from Western Province Sport for those with disabilities is Reinet, Barnard. Welcome, Reinet.
Thank you.
Now, your organization is catering for many different sports, but you're specifically involved in Boccia.
Yes.
So please, let's start with that. What exactly is Boccia?
Boccia is a sport for people with severe physical disabilities. It's similar to bowls, but it's an indoor sport. It's got strict court markings, and it's a very technical sport with lots of rules. It's specifically for people with cerebral palsy that's more severely affected, people with muscular dystrophies, people with those kind of disabilities.
So mainly geared towards those with the physical
Yes.
with the physical challenges.
Yes.
How did you get involved with the sport?
Oh, I've been involved for so long. I started in Gauteng, worked at a school there, and they asked me to start with a boccia. It was introduced with us, and then we started with boccia in the school. Loved it very much, had lots of development, and it's my 12th year that I'm involved with boccia at the moment. Yes.
12 years.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the other sports that are catered for in the Federation.
There's lots. The sports that we have at the national competition is the boccia, athletics, seven-a-side soccer, swimming, cycling, paracycling, there's goalball, there were wheelchair dancing, and there's powerlifting, so it's a wide variety of sports that we cater for.
Yeah. I mean, with people who don't have the challenges of various disabilities, it's difficult enough, being a part of a federation and meeting the challenges and the requirements of the different sports. How is your federation meeting those demands?
I think it starts at school level. We try to have our school children already very involved with sport. We see it as part of their rehabilitation. So talent scouting, I think, starts at school level. It's very important. And then we try to have them have a love for sport, get them involved with sport, get them to nationals, coach them, and then afterwards involve them in the facilities where they can be as grown-ups, still be part of the sport that they love.
This is absolutely fantastic, because for one who wouldn't know, the layperson, they wouldn't think that there is these kind of opportunities for people with disability.
Yes, I think most of our sports aren't that very popular or that very advertised. So there's lots of sports that the ordinary people do not know about. We try hard to advertise it, we try hard to show off our athletes because they work very hard for where they are. And that's why we try to be as visible as possible, invite other schools, the people with able-bodied people to help us in the sport, and thus we advertise it that way.
Well, you've mentioned the important involvement of the schools, that being your kind of your feeding system, I would presume. But describe to us how the sport is structured, or the federation is structured, from its very basic level up to the highest level.
We start at the provinces. So you have schools and clubs that affiliate to the province with a sport for people with physical disabilities, and from there the province affiliate to our national body, SASAPD, and then they regulate the sport. We have the national competition once a year. It's end of March, beginning April, and it varies in different provinces. And in that we can see where our talented athletes is. They compete with athletes from right around the country, from all the provinces, and that also up the level of their game. So you start at club and school level, you affiliate with your provincial body, and then the provincial body is affiliated to the national body.
And internationally, what kind of events with the athletes that would excel, what kind of events can they look forward to internationally?
Of course, the Paralympic Games is the ultimate for any sports person with physical disabilities. Our athletes in Boccia do not get that kind of exposure because international competition is very expensive for us. And at the moment, Boccia does not have an African Cup where we can compete with 2 or 3 other countries in Africa for us to have rankings. And that will enable us, as soon as our athletes have rankings, that will enable us to compete internationally. International tournaments will get us in the door for the Paralympic Games. But Paralympics, big events, and then there's international tournaments, the America's Cup, the European Cup that there is. So there's lots of opportunities. At the moment, we're just not getting there.
Now, you've mentioned to me before we started that you're a physiotherapist. So I'm sure this is also your passion, not only as a vocation, but on the side as well. The prevalence of people with disabilities in the country. Do you have any insight into that, especially with the physical disabilities?
I think in our society that we live today, with technology and the great improvement in medical technology, the prevalence is more. We have our prem babies being born very early, being pulled through. Not all of them are physically disabled, but the incidences, I think mothers having to work under a lot of stress up to the end of their pregnancy, all those things contribute also. So I think the prevalence is definitely more than it was in 20, 30 years ago.
Wow. And of the existing population of people with disabilities in the country, how many of them are getting exposed to these opportunities? And how can the communities assist you guys with getting them to know about these opportunities specifically?
I think way too little. Way too little of our athletes with physical disabilities are being exposed to sports, where sport does not just give you an opportunity to compete in or to be in a sport with a competitive way. Sport gives you the opportunity to discipline yourself. With sport with a physical disability, you also maintain your physical well-being. That's very important. That's why in schools we encourage the children to be part of whatever sport they can. And our children in rural communities, even not rural communities where they just don't know what sports is available for people with physical disabilities, are definitely not exposed enough to our sports, and that's what we can give towards enabling them to be part of a sport. So lots have to be done there.
Lots has to be done. Now, in the Western Cape specifically, with the schools that are catering for children with special needs and various disabilities, are a lot of them coming to the party in terms of exposing or catering for the sport aspect?
Yes, definitely. Schools are very willing. I think what's preventing them from getting involved is cost of equipment at this stage, and then also cost of training and time for training, because the school program is very hectic, and all of us at the Sport for People with Physical Disabilities, the coaches and the trainers, we're volunteers.
Yes.
So we volunteer our time and we volunteer our expertise to train our athletes, and love doing it always, but we do not have enough volunteers to help us with that.
And especially to get into those areas that people are a little bit hesitant to get into. Is there any development efforts from Western Province Sport for those with disabilities to touch on those areas?
Yes, definitely. We're always seeking new ways to develop the sport wherever we can. We have been contacted with various areas to help develop with Boccia. Started with developing Boccia here in the schools mostly and at the club level, but there's a great need to develop it further. But challenges,
coaches especially,
yes,
hey.
and time to coach the coaches, because it's full programs, even weekends. So and to get the athletes, it's not just coaching the coaches, to be able to coach them, you need the athletes. And athletes are often being transported with transport not provided by their parents to schools and back, which makes it very difficult for them to stay after schools or to come in over weekends for us to train them and to help the coaches and the volunteers to help them. So the challenges are there.
Logistical mainly.
Yes,
Hey.
yes.
Okay, so let's shift focus now to Boccia itself. What has been some of the recent highlights in your sport?
Oh, Boccia is just amazing. It's a very intense sport, very stressful when you get to the semi-finals and finals, but a terrific sport. The technique and the technical part of it, and the athletes, what they can do, it's empowerment that you see in Boccia, and that's why it's amazing. So yes, the highlights have been this year, the national championships that was in Port Elizabeth, and our VP Boccia team were represented there with 14 players, and they were amazing. We had gold and silver and bronze medals.
Wow.
Yes, and that's from juniors to seniors, because in Boccia, because we're developing it all the way, you do not have a senior and a junior class. It's juniors, school-going children, that's competing against seniors. It's sometimes in their 30s or 40s. And it's a great game. The sportsmanship and what they learn from each other is wonderful. So that's the main event. In Western Province, we did some development and lots of training. And then in October, I completed my international Boccia referee certificate. So yes.
Wow. So that the international referees certificate will enable you to obviously represent the country as well, hey, in international events.
Yes, that's what we did. In order to receive the certificate, you had to referee at an international game. That was the Euro Championships. That was now in October.
Wow.
And it was a huge honor to represent South Africa.
Yes.
It was wonderful to be there. We were 2 referees from South Africa that were there. Learned a lot. Boccia internationally is very, very big. There's so much excitement in what we can do in South Africa now for Boccia, that the way forward just be good.
And I'm sure your international sporting peers must be so impressed with what the South Africans achieved given our constraints.
Yes, yes. I think internationally they also have their challenges. It's also mostly volunteers, and they also struggle with training and training hours. And you know, when you're in Boccia, you're the coach, you're the caretaker, you're the motivator, you help with feeding, you help with transport and lifting. You linesperson, you run from court when you're not refereeing, and then you'll say, remember that, remember this.
Yeah.
And then it happens when you're refereeing in your country, and that's the same internationally too. But at the international games where 20 or more countries are represented, then you're just the referee, and then you trust that what you've taught your athletes, they will do on the court. Yes.
Okay. So Reinet, if people want to get more information about Boccia specifically, or any of the other sports catered for in your federation, how can they get a hold of you?
They can contact BAP, SAPD. We do have a Facebook page, and we do have our website where they can contact us, and then they can just ask specifically which sporting code they're interested in and they would like to know more about, and then they'll refer it to that specific convener.
Lovely. Thank you for joining us and sharing your passion, and thank you for the work that you're doing in your community.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. Well, that's it from Boccia, and after the break we'll be back with another exciting sport. Don't go anywhere.